Hey guys, Master Thinking here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so we're going to continue on with the guides for the next 10 stages of Super Battle Road coming to Global, and the next one is going to be the Revenge category. So, the Revenge category, there's some decent units on here, similar to Exploding Rays. There's only really one proper leader, which is the AGL Bardock, but obviously it is possible to make different teams depending on what you have available. Obviously, Global just got this guy as a free-to-play lead, but his leader skill is quite low. So we're going to have a look through, as I do with all of these guys, my top picks and some honourable mentions. If there's any units that you think I should have talked about that I didn't, or any features of a unit that I did discuss that you think I missed out on, make sure you let me know down below in the comments, and we can continue the discussion down there. So if you find this guide helpful at all, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's go ahead and jump straight in here. So, obviously, AGL Bardock is the main leader for the Revenge category. He's also got 4 key in the leader skill, as well as the 170 and 130 spread leader skill percentages. So, the 4 keys obviously very useful. There's a lot of good LRs on this team. Depending on how you choose to build the team, Bardock is obviously not going to be, in any way the most powerful unit. The one thing to note about this stage is the final boss is Chilled, who is a Wicked Bloodline character. So obviously Bardock is able to transform straight away. Transforming into the Super Saiyan form, you get a few turns where you get a slight chance to dodge and a little bit of extra crit chance. The only thing you have to bear in mind, of course, is Chilled is a tech unit. So this Bardock, without an item active, he is going to take a lot of damage from him. So you do need to be careful how you play with him if you're going to use him as the leader. But as he is the main category leader, that is the most straightforward way to make the team and use any of the units that are actually on the category. So, next up we have these guys. I thought I'd mention them very briefly. Like, their leader skill is only 50% because they're the free-to-play lead. So, you probably do have better options for building a team without having to use them. They can be used on the team as a support unit. They do give Revenge allies 3 key, 30% to stats. They do also have a 70% chance to stun on super attack. So obviously stunning units are very powerful in Super Battle Road, especially when you consider that the final fight is only against one enemy. So you can actually build quite a decent extreme class Revenge team. And then these guys would be a pretty decent support unit that also offer you that utility with the stun. I just probably wouldn't use them as the leader because their leader skill is too low. So next up we have LR Broly. I mean, we'll mention him in every single guide where he can actually be used on the team because he's one of the best units in the game for Super Battle Road. You're not fighting any pure or hybrid Saiyans in this stage, so he's not getting his full passive active, but obviously very, very powerful unit, very strong after supering defensively. Definitely not really a great slot 1 unit, but with how greatly his EZA improved him, you can quite easily put him in slot 1 if you're going to use like a Whis or an Icarus for the turn. And as long as he doesn't get like multiple supers, he's going to be perfectly fine. And he's going to be dishing out a ton of damage. And obviously with dupes, link levels, all that kind of stuff, I mean, this guy could be throwing out like 3 AoE supers in one turn that all deal a ridiculous amount of damage. So he is very, very good. And next up, of course, we have the Tech Broly. We pretty much are always going to mention this guy when you can use them both on the team together because they link together super well. This guy's really good for Super Battle Road because he gets a guaranteed additional super attack when there's multiple enemies. He does get all of his defense on super, so you really can't use him in slot 1, but he's definitely able to deal out a lot of damage. And he can transform on turn 4, which is easy enough to get to in Super Battle Road. And you can use his active skill straight away. So on that turn, he's going to be able to do a huge amount of damage. So very, very strong unit. Next up, we have the Tech Transforming Frieza. So this is one of the benefits that Global has over JP when this stage came out, is this Frieza obviously did not have his EZA on the JP version. And now, I think probably even more so than using Bardock, just because of how he's aged for Super Battle Road. I think a really good build for doing this stage would just be to use double Transforming Frieza leaders and then just make a full extreme team. Because his leader skill is 3 key and 130%. It's a little bit low compared to what you'd want with like all the various 170 leads running around, but it's not the lowest leader skill in the world. It is definitely possible for it to be done with double Freezers. Not just because the leader skill is good enough, but obviously the unit himself is very, very good. He transforms every turn. You're probably only going to get as far as the 3rd form, maybe the final form, but he's going to be dishing out a ton of damage. He heals at the start of the turn. He's just going to be very, very good. So I think for a lot of people, even if you have Bardock, probably a better approach is to just bring this guy as a leader for a full extreme team. So next up we have Golden Frieza. I picked the tech one, but really you could use the tech one or the AGL one or both because of the same name update now. You just park these guys in slot 1 and they don't take damage. So if you are running like the double tech Frieza lead team, you can literally have one rotation be this guy with one of the tech Friezas and then the AGL Golden Frieza and the friend tech Frieza, and that's your slot 1 and 2 basically set. And the Golden Friezas in slot 1 can just tank all the hits, easily tank super attacks, and then that is actually going to work really, really well. You do need to be careful with the HP restriction. If you drop below a certain amount of HP, it doesn't have as much damage reduction, but it still is a strong tank. Most people don't really care about going for no item runs, so like even if you are below the restriction, just pop a Whis or an Icarus and he will still tank incredibly well. So that setup I think is probably one of the most powerful ways to do it. Because of how Bardock can be a defensive liability, I'm probably going to try that team build out for the no item run, so I definitely would recommend doing that. We also have Garlic Jr., who is a very, very strong extreme types support unit, so obviously he fits on that team perfectly well under the Frieza leads. Giving 40% and 3 key to everybody is obviously very powerful. If he takes a hit in the turn, he recovers 10% HP at the end, and then his stats are very, very good. There are no superclass enemies in this stage, so he doesn't get his extra attack and defense and chance to stun, but base attack and defense 160 and then the 40% support on top is still very, very good. So he's definitely a solid choice for a third slot floating support unit. Next up we have the AGL Mai. Now this is her pre-EZA form because the EZA is not out on Global. It's going to come out, I assume, in the same celebration as JP. It came out with the Super Vegeta, but it could still come in December for Global, even if he doesn't, I guess. But obviously it means it's not out at the time of making this guide. So without her EZA, she is a massive defensive liability. That is one thing that needs to be made very clear. The reason why you would bring her on the team is she does give all allies key +3. She gives AGL types a little bit of a buff, but she has a 70% chance to stun on super attack. So obviously she could be very, very useful for that role. Even if you just use her as a third slot floating unit, you've just got to be very careful because obviously Super Battle Road, multiple enemies, you can get unlucky and have multiple attacks stacked up in the third slot, and obviously she can only stun one person with her super, so definitely one to be wary of. I think she's a good honourable mention, not necessarily a must use, but that 70% chance to stun is obviously incredibly helpful. So next up we have Darkness Toa. We just found out today that she's going to be getting an EZA when the Heroes Celebration drops, and that literally could be dropping anytime within the next week or so. So, I mean, you could delay running this stage until she gets hers if you really want to use her. She lowers attack on super, she gives a nice buff to allies, and she can give you a full heal once only. This is all pre-EZA, so she's only going to get even better once her EZA comes out. Using her pre-EZA, though, a little bit sketchy because she doesn't actually have any of her own base defense, so she's literally only getting the 30% from her support passive. So I don't think I would recommend using her without the EZA, but I thought she'd be an honourable mention because that EZA is coming up very, very soon. So next up we have Tech Gohan. I probably shouldn't have left him so far down the list, but we've been talking mainly about extreme class teams. This guy, I don't know if you can make a full team of Saviors and Hybrid Saiyans. I mean, I know you can, but whether they would be good for Super Battle Road, like that actually fit under the Revenge category. But obviously Tech Gohan is a superstar in Super Battle Road. Really, really good defensively, even before you get your first super attack off. So if you are running like a proper Revenge build with the Bardock lead, then he can be worth trying out. It might be worth checking your box and seeing what kind of Saviors and Hybrid Saiyans team you can make out of units that are only Revenge category. I haven't actually checked that myself, but if we look at Revenge category up here, then we can scroll down and see. I can't remember exactly everyone who's going to be on Saviors, but there are a few Hybrid Saiyans on here, like the Tech Transforming Trunks is going to be relatively decent. But actually, as I look down, like there's a lot of these units that maybe could be okay, but not really top choices for Super Battle Road. So I don't know if that is necessarily going to be the way to go. But he does fit on the team and is going to work very effectively. So he can be a decent choice to fit into the team, even if you can't use him as a leader. So next up we have LR Cell. I thought we'd include him because he's always been kind of interesting for Super Battle Road, because he has that thing where you drop below 30% HP, then he transforms, gives you a full heal, transforms into the perfect Cell, and is very, very powerful. You know, if you're running a full extreme team, even though you got a bunch of freezers running around, you are going to get some of the decent links active, especially things like big bad bosses. So he can be very useful. Like that free heal, if you get the right timing and the good RNG where you're taking the damage and then he's coming in on the next turn and just popping that transformation and giving you the full heal, that could quite easily like clutch out a run that you potentially would have failed. So he can be really, really useful for that. And if you do want to run him on rain rotation, there are other cells. The tech cell is on here. STR cell is a decent one for Super Battle Road because if you can get his 11 key super, then he does an AoE. That does also recover 10% HP. All of his super attacks, he raises defense. So his defense is okay. It's not the craziest, even after like a couple of supers, but having that AoE super and the heal is definitely beneficial. Unfortunately, the physical LR cell, the Cell Juniors, isn't on here because, of course, he is an AoE unit who heals on super as well. But you could run this guy or the tech guy alongside the int one, and that would make for a pretty strong rotation. I can't stress enough how useful this heal can be. When Extreme Super Battle Road first came out on Global, I did the Extreme Int No Items run first try just because of getting the transformations from Cell, because I was running a double Cell team. And so that really can save the run, essentially, if you get it at the right time. So when we have a look at Revenge, like, Super Baby is pretty decent. Obviously, for Global, we don't have the Easy A for Tech Trunks, so he's a little bit outdated now. Like, there's a few units on here that are quite good, but just not super good for Super Battle Road, like Tech Transforming Trunks. Like, Kid Goku's aged pretty badly defensively. He can stun on Super, but his links aren't super great. Super Saiyan 3 Bardock is another unit that's aged pretty badly defensively. He can seal on super attack, which can be useful for Super Battle Road. And then you've got like these support Bardocks that just haven't aged well at all defensively. This Golden Freezer could be decent as well, the free-to-play one. He is a movie boss's support, so depending on how you've built the team, he can be quite useful. And actually, this Int Metal Cooler, he could have been an honourable mention. He's okay defensively post Easy A, and obviously he's giving a lot of support. And if you do have a very Freezer-heavy team, then he's going to be sharing a lot of those links as well. And of course, if you are bringing more Trunkses, we got this Int Mai. She's a time traveler support. So she supports a bunch of Trunkses. I believe she also supports a couple of the cells. I don't know if all of the cells are on there. I'd have to double check. And she can stun on super. So depending on your team build, she can be quite useful as well. But those are going to be my top picks and honourable mentions for the Revenge category. Let me know what you guys think down below. Like I said at the beginning, if there's a unit that you think I should have talked more about, make sure to let me know down below and we can continue the discussion in the comment section. And let me know what your team is going to look like for this stage. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.